Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Canon EF 70-200mm f4. This is one of my favorite lenses of all time. Let's talk about it. It's no secret that I love the 70-200mm focal length. In fact, a lot of the images, all of the images that you see in this video are going to be shot with this lens. I am no stranger to this focal length as well. I used to have the f2.8 version a number of years ago, and then I sold it, which some people, including myself, would deem a mistake, except I don't really think that anymore. Let's talk about why this lens is one of my favorites, if not my absolute favorite of all time. First, the focal range. 70-200mm is an insanely useful focal range. Now, granted, I do a lot of landscape photography, and usually in landscape photography, you see a lot of people using the ultra-wide lenses, like the 16mm, 24mm, 14mm, and I have used those, yes, but I love telephoto focal lengths, and that brings me to compression. The usefulness of this focal range for me in landscape photography comes down primarily to compression. It's a great way to bring out a very particular element in an image, something that I really want people looking at the image to focus on. I love using it for mountain peaks. I love using it for picking out little details in like forest. In fact, this image right here is probably one of my favorite photos of all time, and I took it with this lens. And it's a perfect example of exactly why I love this focal length. The compression, the depth of field, and the ability to really pull the audience's focus, pull your focus onto one particular element that stands out from everything else. That's fantastic, and I love shooting images that way. Thing number two that I love about this lens, it really doesn't weigh hardly anything compared to the f2.8 version. Now, I had the f2.8 version for a number of years, and I did loads of landscape work with that, and I really loved the images that came out of that lens, but it was just so darn heavy. This lens is crazy light. In fact, let's see how much this lens actually weighs. Let's see, 759 grams. That's 1.1 pounds to be exact. The f2.8 version weighs exactly twice that amount, which maybe doesn't necessarily sound like a lot, but once you attach it to a body or throw it in a camera bag and go hike for 8 miles, it's a lot. So I love the fact that this lens, for the results that it gives you, I love that it really doesn't weigh all that much. And it's definitely my go-to on just all of my landscape shoots. This lens is always with me, and I never leave it at home because I'm not worried about carrying the weight. My f2.8 version, I left at home more often than I'd like to admit, just because it was so heavy. Now, third reason I love this lens, image stabilization. This is the 70-200 f4 LIS version 1. The image stabilizer in this is not as good as the image stabilizer in the version 2 or even in the f2.8 versions or the RF version, of course, but it still functions very, very well, and I have zero issue hand-holding exposures at shutter speeds that I probably shouldn't handhold with this lens, but it works just fine, and I really, really do love having that as a feature. It's also weather sealed. The non-IS version of the 70-200mm f4 is not weather sealed, and that's something that's important to me living here in Washington State where it rains a lot. I like to have good weather sealing on my lenses, and there's a weather sealing gasket on the back, and everything else in this lens is nice and sealed, and the zoom is all internal. The lens doesn't get, like the lens barrel doesn't extend or create any gaps when zooming for any like water or dust to get through. So it's an absolute tank, and I really love it. Lastly, image quality. Come on, this thing is crazy sharp. The images out of this lens are gorgeous, and I don't miss the one stop of light that the f2.8 gave me. Yes, this is the f4. Yes, you lose a stop of light, But what you gain is a lens that is half the weight and pretty much an equal performer in terms of image quality, and is a lens that I will definitely use a lot more than its f2.8 counterpart because of the weight, because of the convenience. The image quality is great, and my R6 Mark II and my 6D, both of those cameras function so well in low light that I don't miss the extra stop of light that the f2.8 gave me. And the image quality is absolutely fantastic. I personally, for my own personal use, have no reason to go for the f2.8 version because the f4 here satisfies everything that I need just fine. Now, of course, you're probably thinking, Paul, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. What do you not like? And there is really only one thing that I don't like about this lens, and that is the fact that the image stabilization makes noise. It's not super loud noise, but it is definitely noticeable. And so if I'm doing video with this lens, it's ideal to have the audio separate and not from like a mic on top of the camera, because it will pick up the image stabilizer noise in this lens. But honestly, that's really it. The image stabilizer makes noise, and that's my only complaint. I wish it was silent. It's not, but it's okay. So, in conclusion, this right here, one of my favorite lenses of all time. You can still get these. They're actually a pretty decent price. I think I paid about $500 total for this. So if you're wanting a 70 to 200 millimeter and you don't have the money for an f2.8, honestly, I don't know if I'd really bother with the f2.8 personally, unless you really need it. Like if you're doing a lot of portraiture, if you're doing stuff where you need the extra shallow depth of field or you really need the extra stop of light, then go for the f2.8 version. But it is going to be significantly heavier and significantly more expensive. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. For those of you who are looking for like a 70 to 200 and you want to get into Canon's like L series lenses, this is a fantastic option for you. And hopefully I've been able to make that a little bit more clear and make your decision hopefully a little bit more simple. So if you enjoyed, do all the stuff that popular YouTubers tell you to do, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.